I am $32,156 in debt, and I realized one day I needed to deal with this, and I needed to deal with it immediately. Today you're going to learn how to get out of debt quickly, what I believe is the fastest way to get out of debt. But it doesn't lend itself well to a single slogan, so let's get started. If you're in a lot of debt like me, you want to get out of it quickly, but I realized that it wasn't obvious how to do it as quickly as possible. I build stuff, so today I'm building a machine that tells me how to get out of debt faster. It's just code, but it feels like a robot because it does tedious work for me. Programmers are lazy, so that's why I built this. There are a lot of videos and articles out there with advice about different strategies you could pick to get out of debt quickly. And those strategies are usually based more on the person paying the debt. The idea is that it's emotionally difficult to pay off debt, which is true. So if you pick a strategy that matches your personality or that motivates you as a person, then it's more likely you'll stay committed to paying off the debt instead of giving up and accruing more debt or simply ignoring it. So without really looking into it, I just started paying credit cards without thinking much about which ones I paid and how much I paid any of them. And I realized that probably wasn't the smartest way to do it, so I started looking into how other people do this. The most popular one is the snowball method. This is where you pay the smallest balances off first. It's not the quickest way by a long shot, and it's certainly not the cheapest way. The more obvious way to me to do it would be to pay off the highest interest card first. But it turns out that devoting all of your extra income to the card with high interest and only paying the minimums on the rest of your cards is not the cheapest or fastest way to get out of debt either. But it's a popular way that's recommended because it's relatively easy to figure out. I'm not going to explain either of these strategies here, so click on this video in the corner if you want to understand these less than perfect strategies like the snowball method or highest interest rate first that a lot of people like. So what other strategy is there? I started to think it's really kind of a balancing act, but whatever I decide to do, each strategy I could choose has a different cost. So shouldn't everyone just choose the lowest cost strategy? And can't you just automate it? Can't a machine figure out what the right strategy is? Well, of course, but it's not that easy. I am $32,156 in debt, and I realized one day I needed to deal with this, and I needed to deal with it immediately. So the first thing I did was not to build a machine. The first thing I did was to just start paying debts. I stopped using credit cards entirely. I canceled any subscription I could possibly cancel. People get into this situation in all sorts of ways. For me, I didn't expect that I would accrue this debt so quickly and not be able to pay it off, but that's what happened. So just realizing how bad the problem was, adding up the balances of each card was a big step for me. But once I realized I needed to solve it, I realized I could build a machine that would help me do this more efficiently than anyone else suggested to do it online. The solution was to try every possible combination of payment plans and see which one was the cheapest, was the fastest, the most efficient. So let's start with an example. I have $32,000 in debt, and maybe I have $2,000 available each month after I pay all of my bills to pay down credit cards. So because I only have $2,000 available, the maximum I could pay on one card is $2,000. But actually, that's not quite right, because each card also has a minimum payment. So if I have $2,000 to pay down on credit cards, I have to first cover all of my minimum payments and then decide where I'm going to put the remaining cash out of that $2,000 amongst all of my credit cards to pay them down faster than I'm required to. My minimum payments are due once a month, so I'll measure time that I'm going to pay off each credit card in months. My goal is to plan how many months I should take to pay off each card if I had $2,000 available each month to pay down credit cards. If my income is different next month, and it always is, then I can just use my robot again next month to make a new plan. There's a minimum payment that I have to make on each card, and there's a maximum payment that I can make on each card based on how much income I have available to pay credit cards. And knowing these two numbers gives me a range of the number of months it could take me to pay any one card. The minimum payment lets me calculate the longest number of months it could take me to pay off the card. And when I calculate the maximum payment, that tells me the shortest number of months it could take me to pay off each card. So let's say that I have $1,700 left after I make all my minimum payments. If I put $1,700 every month towards an Amex card that had $17,000 of debt, that Amex would take me something like 10 months to pay off, which would be the shortest amount of time it could possibly take to pay off that card. If the minimum payment is $100 a month, when accounting for a low interest rate, the longest amount of time it could take me to pay off this card is over 25 years, or 300 months. When I calculate the shortest and longest number of months it could take me to pay off each card, that gives me the range of months for my robot to choose between when it is generating all possible plans. So how am I going to do this? I'm going to plan time to repay each card in months, and my plan will be based on the balance of each card, the interest rate or the APR of each card, and the money I have available to pay off each card. So here's an example. Let's say I have an Amex card, a Citi card, an REI card, a Discover card, and an Apple card. One plan might be to pay the Amex off in 8 months, the Citibank card off in 1 month, perhaps it has a very low balance, the REI card in 6 months, the Discover card in 12 months, and the Apple card in 13 months. That means in total to pay off all of my cards would take 13 months from today. I'm going to use my robot to keep trying every possible plan like that, and I can use a spreadsheet to figure out how much each possible plan would cost me. I can try thousands or even millions of different plans and just pick the one that has the lowest cost. What have I learned from this mountain of debt? I needed to face it head on, but the popular strategies aren't the cheapest or fastest ways to do it. The perfect strategy depends on your current extra income, credit card balances, interest rates, and minimums. I can build a robot that tries everything and finds the perfect strategy, but with any strategy, prioritize paying your minimums and building a safety net every month. Most importantly, I learned that anybody can do this. I'll put a link to the code for my robot in the description, but that's not the end. This project is a work in progress, and so are these videos. In the next video, I'll remind you about how interest works, and I'll help you think about interest rates in a new way. If that sounds useful, subscribe to my channel and tap the bell to get notified when I put out the next video.